Today I have an older 6973 that starts and stalls. So I'll go through some of the diagnosing methods that I use to check it out here. It's a pretty simple engine. As long as you have fuel, compression, and power, it should run. I mean, figuring that your pump and your injectors are good, it should. So what I do, this second one back here, this is the main one, the one that has two wires in it. That's the one that opens the solenoid and lets the fuel flow. This back one's for timing, and this one over here is a kicker. So the one that's in the middle, that's the one you want to check for power to make sure it's good. Next thing you want to do is check for your glow plugs. And a lot of times you can just listen for them. Turn the key on and wait about a minute, and you should hear them start to cycle. Then you should just start hearing the click, click of them. If you turn your key on and it instantly starts going click, 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 then you don't have enough of a load. You have 3 or more glow plugs bad, so check your glow plugs. Also, these older ones, you have to make sure that the batteries are up and the engine's turning fast enough. I've had them not start just due to starter drag and turning over too slow, so you have to have a good starter too. But now with this one, it's actually getting air in the fuel system and draining down overnight. The most common thing are these injector caps, the return lines here. They leak out of there, but the customer's been after this one for a little bit. He's already resealed it, so it doesn't have any leaks coming out of the injector caps. And what I do see, it has a leak over here at the fuel heater around this O-ring here. So we're going to seal that one up first. But I just want to show you the method as far as listening to the glow plugs and also checking for power, because as long as my power stays consistent here at the solenoid, my fuel should be flowing through the pump and it should be good. Again, I'm just after a hard start or stalls when start issue. If I was after a rough running miss or no start, then I would start suspecting the pump. That would be another video. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up, listen to the glow plug clatter, and also monitor the power here at the pump. Okay, I'm going to turn the key on, then listen for the maybe 30 seconds to a minute for the glow plugs. Keys on. There's the clicking noise I was talking about for the glow plugs. Okay, we have power at the pump. Now waiting for the glow plugs. The key's been on. Okay, the glow plugs have done. They've been on there, commanded on long enough. Okay, so you see how it starts up, purges all the air through the system, even stalls at first, gives us the long crank, and the power stayed consistent. So this is one that has air in the lines. Again, anything that allows the air to return in the system, air to get in, usually it shows up as a fuel leak here, but that also allows the fuel to return back down overnight or over a few days, whatever it takes. So we look for any fuel leak. Here we have the one on top of the fuel bowl. So I'm going to reseal that and then let this sit for another couple of days and check it out. So let's get that fuel leak fixed and retest it. Okay, if I had the glow plugs clicking off right away, again, that's usually you have 3 or more glow plugs that are bad, and it's not putting it, keeping it down, keeping it latched. So now I have my test light on positive, and you can see anytime I touch something that's grounded, it turns a light on. Glow plugs just being resistance and heaters, all we want to do here is we'll pull the wire off the glow plug and then just take your test light and touch it on the tip. And if it lights up by touching the tip, that glow plug's normally good. Now this isn't a 100% test. You know, you should ohm them out and check them, but this test works probably 90-95% of the time. So you can go ahead and do that and check your glow plugs and see if they're bad. Okay, it's the next morning, and yesterday we confirmed the concern of how it starts and stalls or hesitate and stumbles when first started cold after sitting for a few days. So now here's another test if you have time, what you can do. Again, all this depends on, is it your vehicle or how long are you going to be allowed to keep the vehicle. So we're going to remove the fuel filter and see how full it is. Remove the filter here with an oil filter wrench. You can see it's low, but it's not out. It's only about a third full. You can see the heater element's bolted on, so we'll go ahead and unbolt it up here. Using a 1.25" socket with a snap-on flex ratchet. And this is the O-ring we're going to be going after. So I'll go ahead and replace this O-ring, clean it up, and start putting it back together. Something else I want to point out. As you can see, this one here, it's had a bunch of arcing going on, had high resistance. Somebody's put it together before and didn't install the connector here in the right place. It was actually off to the side. So with the high resistance, we had arcing, we had it burn up. So we have this bad and we have a connector bad. So I'm going to try to also clean that up and see if we can do anything with it. If not, I'll replace it. Okay, we have the new O-ring on with some assembly lube. Also have it cleaned up here. I'll go ahead and put some assembly lube inside here, just so I don't snag the O-ring as we go in. Go ahead and tighten that up, bleed it, get it started, but also we're able to clean that up, clean up the connection there for the heater. I'll go ahead and clean up the other end and get this assembled and drive it and cold start it here. It's Friday right now. I'm going to cold start it Monday morning and film that and see if we now back in the day when I used to work on these all the time, now I only see like maybe 1 or 2 a year, so I don't keep a lot of stuff. But I would go down to Home Depot or Lowe's and I'll buy some clear hose here, some clear tubing, and it's usually 3/16 or 1/4 depending on what year it is. And on the fuel return here, I would install a piece of hose, either replace this one and install it, or I'll just put one in series here like this with a loop. I would put it on this end and use a T here, and I would drive it and bleed it the night before, and after a couple days later I'd come back and I would watch it and make sure that if I was suspecting air, I could see the air come through the system. It would help me aid in doing it. The only thing is, if you do that, make sure that you seal it up good, especially when you couple these two hoses together. Make sure that that's not what's causing the air to enter. Because anywhere that you have a fuel leak showing externally, as it sits at night, that becomes an air leak, and it allows the fuel to siphon down or drain down. Because whenever air can get in, as that fuel leaves, something has to take its place. So it can draw the air in and let the fuel go down. So if this air can enter, the fuel will go down. If it's all sealed tight, it creates a vacuum, it can't drain back down. So you got to make sure you don't have any leaks. but that's another trick there with a clear hose. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one up, bleed it, drive it around the block, and see what happens Monday morning. Okay, I have the fuel heater all sealed up. Just got back from driving it to purge all the air out of the system so I can do a cold start here in a couple of days. And I noticed there's a little bit of seepage coming around the injector return lines here. So I'm going to go ahead and seal those up, because anywhere that you can get a fuel leak will also suck air in on the other side and allow the fuel to drain down. So I'm going to go ahead and fix any fuel leak on the engine. Anything that's higher than the fuel tank, you want to make sure that you stop the leak, otherwise it won't hold a vacuum and hold the fuel up here at the engine, cause the stalling at the first starting or the loping idle or whatever it may be. So I'm going to go ahead and seal that leak up and keep going. Here's another angle on it. Plus back here a little bit. Now once you start to reseal these, don't try to do one at a time. I used to do that years ago and realized I just end up having to do the whole side. So I just do one bank at a time. Loosen the lines up, pry these off as an assembly. And if you do replace these, you can get this kit from Napa pretty cheap for like 29 bucks or so. And you get a bulk hose. These hose pieces, they're exactly 4 inches. So if you cut yourself, say 6 pieces here, 4 inches long, you can make this whole setup right outside the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and replace these O-rings, put it back together, and check it out here. Once you have the new O-rings on, make sure you lubricate them before you try to push the caps down. And if the caps are dry and brittle or distorted, you will have to replace them. A couple things I like to point out. One, you cannot bend these injector lines. You can't pull up on them and bend them and distort them. They have over 2,000 pounds of pressure and they'll split. Also, years ago, a guy in class, he brought up that he uses a drain plug washer here on top of these to help to make them seat and stay down. I've been doing that since the 90s, and it was a pretty good tip that I learned from him, and just want to pass that on because it seems to help hold them down and secure them and keep them from leaking. So I just apply a drain plug washer underneath these here when I go to install them. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Snug them down, it seems to help hold them in the right place.